Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to do a little what's in the bag action. Thank you guys for asking for this. A lot of what I do is very specific to the way that I learned how to train with advanced pulse ranking, as well as some of the Jim McLean stuff, which, again, I want you guys to see how I have built my path here. I am at my home course, Green Valley Ranch. This is one of our practice areas. As you see, I have an impact bag, I have a mirror, we got cameras here, we got track mat, we got all the fun stuff, we got air tubes, we got a lot of these chicks, it's all there. But I was asked specifically for what's in my bag, so we're just going to start at the bottom and work our way up. We're going to start with the 60-degree Vokey that I play. This is an SM10. It's a 8 bounce with the M grind. I used to play the L grind, but unfortunately they discontinued it, so I got the M grind. And then I've taken just a little bit of work here with the Dremel to the back of my grind just to flatten it out a little more so I can really lay that thing flat and get underneath the ball when I want to. So yeah, so I like to lay it pretty flat when I'm around the greens. As you guys know from watching my short game videos, I really love shaft lean and I love shaft axis work. So in other words, opening and closing down the shaft to create different club angles and inertia given how that works. But anywho, moving on, 56, which is also an SM10. It's the M grind as well, and again, I've done the same thing. I've taken a Dremel just to the spot right here, just to give me a little fire use so I can use this out of the bunkers a little more consistently. One thing I didn't talk about with the last club was the shaft that I use. So I use an NS Modus. It's the Modus 3 125 wedge shaft. So I'm a big feel guy, and as much as I do like the Vokey wedge shafts, I feel like the dynamic goal in the Vokey wedge shafts just, they lack a little bit of feel, and the step pattern in these 125 wedges with the extra weight just gives me a little more ability to kind of add spin, take spin away, and control it. So that's what I play in all of my wedges. I do play 4 wedges, so this is my 52. Now this is my practice 52 degree. I use this in the winter because this is probably the most utilized club in my bag during the season, so I always get a new one. I always like fresh grooves and all that, but this one is what I practice with in the winter. And it's the 8F, so the F grind is kind of mostly just used for fairway shots or out of the rough. You can hit out of the bunker too, but specifically I prefer the F grind in my longer wedges because I tend to only hit full type swings, 3/4 to full swing with those clubs. And again, it's the same shaft, but this shaft is the Vokey wedge shaft. So when I'm practicing in the winter, sometimes there is a small transition to a heavier shaft, but at the end of the day, this is what I like in all of my wedges. But I was fitted for that, and again, I recommend that everybody go get fitted. It's super important, especially in wedges nowadays, as well as basically any long clubs that have graphite in them. The shafts, the way that they work and torque differently, they can really be refined and fitted to every different swing out there. So this is my 46 degree wedge, and again we're playing the 10F, so 10 degrees of bounce with the F grind. Again, the wedge, the 46 degree is mostly used out of the fairway. And I like the standard Tour Velvet these days. I used to play, well I started playing the land pins for years. This is where I started with the Align. So the Z grip, I guess. Golf Friend must have bought them out at some point, but this was how I started with the grip, I guess, journey. I eventually made it to the NCC +4, so basically this is the multi-compound grip, and it has 0 taper. And this was kind of me chasing Ben Hogan, trying to figure it out, and obviously there's a spine alignment in here as well. But now I'm just back to the Tour Velvet with the spine. I find that having a little spine at the back of the club really helps you set your hand on the club consistently, so I think I'll always utilize that. It's so helpful, and it just goes back to the 50s to 60s. I mean, they used to put coat hangers to make sure their hands are on the club the same way every time because the grip is just that important. So anyway, moving on. I'm going to save the putters for last because I'm a little bit crazy when it comes to putters, but we'll keep moving through. So all of my irons are the same. I play basically a 9 through a 5 iron and Arias CR16 iron. So for those of you that don't know, this is an Arias CR16 irons. I hope JR doesn't beat me up for saying Arias wrong, but that's how I pronounce it. These are essentially muscleback irons. They're made of a 431 stainless steel, which is proprietary, and they have, as you can see, true zero offset. So one of the cool things about true zero offset is when I set the club down, I have a much better ability to aim at a target space because there's no offset there to kind of throw off my eye line. So when we're talking about geometry, which you guys know I love talking about, when I'm aiming, I want to make sure that my aim points are as square as possible. Now, there's no straight lines in the golf swing, but the way that our mind is programmed, it's extremely important for us to aim using straight lines. When we're dynamically aligning, it's important to add some curve in there because we obviously have an inside path. But essentially when we're aiming, we want to aim as we would a gun or a bow and arrow or something along those lines, right? So I feel that this combined with the Modus Tour 120 stiff flex shaft is just absolutely perfect for me. It allows me to hit a little bleeder cut, which I love. I get the ball to land, it takes one hop and it stops every single time. If I hit it thin, it does that. If I hit it fat, it does that. So anytime I'm visualizing essentially the same exact repeatability every single time. Now, if I'm hitting a draw, it's a little longer bounce. If I'm hitting a low draw, it's more of a skip. But I think you guys get the idea. What I'm looking for is consistency. So for me, this was the setup. I absolutely love Nippon shafts. I could talk about them all day, but essentially, if you notice, the step pattern is up here and not down here. And there's a lot to be said for that when you properly compress the golf ball. You know, the Project Z shafts, the LZ shafts where they have a loading zone, this type of stuff, you can get pretty quick from the top. These allow me to load late, hold my legs, and compress the ball with a lot more consistency than pretty much every other shaft out there besides maybe a KBS. But the tips of the KBS don't hold up over time. And I would find that whenever I would put a KBS in my clubs, after about a year, I started getting kind of weird, funky shots because the tip would just, I don't know how to explain this, they wear down over time. So Nippon, though, they make a hell of a golf shaft, and I will use them until the end of time. So from there, we move into my specialty clubs. I have 3 of them that I interchanged throughout the season. So the first one we're going to talk about is my 4-iron. I have a 4, 5, and 6 in the JPX 923 Tour. Same Nippon shaft, same grip, all that good stuff. But again, I wanted a little bit of help in my longer irons, especially when I'm playing a longer course. A little bit of offset doesn't kill you. I've made the shafts a little softer so that I don't hook them. At worst, it's just a straight pull. So now I can essentially aim down the left side of a golf course and trust that it's never going to go left. But this club here is my go-to on long par 3s. I can hit it about at sea level, 200 to 210 in the air. You know, if you're at elevation, I can fly this thing 230 all day long. From there, I have my 2-iron, which is a P790 TaylorMade driving iron, as you guys can see. It's got all the bells and whistles that give you that extra pop. And on this, I'm playing actually a Ventus 9 Tour X shaft, which this is a hybrid shaft, but I did have them cut the length off of it. So it's almost as long as my 3-wood shaft. Just to kind of give you guys an idea, this is specifically a driving iron for me. So it's a specialty club when I get to a tournament where there's tight fairways and I can hit my low stinger runner, or if it's very windy, I have a club I can go to. So as you can see, this club is nearly as long as my 3-wood, which is also a Ventus shaft, which we'll get into in just a minute. But I love the Ventus shafts. This 9 Tour X shaft it's so pure. I absolutely adore it. And this iron has taken me a while to figure out, but it is a 2-iron, and I can hit it 280 up here at elevation, maybe 260 at sea level, just putting a nice smooth swing on it. So I love utilizing the technology where I can, but of course I couldn't hit this if I didn't have a graphite shaft, because you need a lot of toe drip with these nowadays. You gotta really stress that shaft. If you have a steel shaft on there, it's a little difficult to hit. But that brings me to what I call my tour striker club. And in advanced ball striking, John Harrison talks about basically the acid test of hitting a 1-iron. So this is my McGregor 1-iron. He had his guy remove all the offset, and again, it's Tour 4s and it's OG. You can see the serial number here. It's the Muirfield iron that Jack put out after he won a Muirfield. Guys, this is a training iron. Just so you guys can see, this, my friends, is a butter knife. I mean, just put it up next to a bowl here. I mean, when you look at that bad boy right there, there is no room to miss. So the reason I set it up like this is because Martin Chuck put out a product called the Swerve Striker, and when I was going through my ABS training, I thought it was appropriate to basically utilize this one iron for all of my training. So this is what I would use to hit the impact bag and do all the drills that they did. If you guys aren't familiar with advanced ball training, we use the impact bag quite a bit. So for those of you that are going to stay with this channel, I highly recommend you get one of these. So we're going to call this another What's in the Bag product. Now this is the Courses Green Valley Ranches impact bag, but I have two of these at home, and I use a tire as well, which is what Henry Cotton used, so that's where I got that from. But this is my drill club. This is my training club. This is my ball striking club. When my swing gets off, I do what Tom Watson says. I pull this bad boy out, and I give it an acid test. And until I can hit this, I mean, that's basically what it is. I got to work on stuff. So with all that being said, a couple things you should know about my clubs that I haven't already said. They're all played extremely flat. So this one iron here, if you can't tell, it's actually set at the Hogan angle, which is 50 degrees. It might be 52. I can't remember at this moment what he plays one iron at in the museum, but the 3-jack golf vlog talks about it, and I basically set this club up exactly like that. But it is only a training club. I play it around my home course just to kind of give myself a little challenge here and there, but for the most part, it's mostly only comes out when I practice. So from there, we're going to move into our longer clubs. I play the same Titleist woods in all three clubs in the same exact shaft. They're all tipped the same. They're all basically built exactly the same. My swing weights and my irons are roughly around D6 to D8, but my woods are all swing weighted in the E. So my driver is an E2, my 3 wood's an E1, and my 5 wood's an E0 to a D, maybe a D8, D9. It actually depends, believe it or not, on where I set the little adapter here on how it comes out swing weight wise, because the toe, there's quite a bit of inertia in this 5 wood. It plays a bit like a hybrid sometimes. But anyway, I play Ventus shafts in all three of these. So we got a 7X in the 5 wood, a 7X in the 3 wood, and then we have the 6X in the driver. I had originally put a 7X in here, but I found in the winter that it was just a little too stiff, and I would, in the summer, even when I was a little sore, a little stiff, I found that I would hit straight pulls. So we just put a little softer shaft in here. We tipped it a little bit, so now I just hit a nice cut. And basically, it's on repeat. I do not hit the left side of the golf course if I don't want to. So with all that being said, that's pretty much the entire bag. I will give you guys a quick look at I'm playing the TSR3 in the woods. They're all TSR3s. They're all set up, believe it or not, in the neutral position at A1. So this is the completely neutral setup. I have found it to be the most reliable from a biomechanical standpoint. But when I go into competition, sometimes, especially if it's a fader's course, I'll set everything to C1. If it's a drawer's course, I'll set everything to A3, sometimes even go as far as D3. But that's a whole other story to get into another day. Just trying to make this video semi-short. So let's move into one more training meet, and then we'll talk about the putter. As you guys have seen in some of my other previous videos, I use the old orange whip here. Now this is the cheap version. This is the skills when you buy at Walmart. But I firmly believe in inertia training, feeling weight pulling on your joints so that you can build proprioception, spatial awareness, and that's what I use that for. I also use it for left-hand swings to loosen my back up after a long day of training, because if I don't swing left-handed, I don't keep everything balanced. I tend to get really tight on one side, and then I feel like I'm in a straitjacket and a lot of pain all the time. So, anywho, moving on to the final piece. I have the gamer putter, and then I have the practice putter. So in the winter, especially out here, the greens don't get mowed. They get pretty long. So I use this this Odyssey here. It's the White Hot Ice 9. It's about 340 gram head, and it is completely toe weighted. There is no love in this putter, but when you're putting on bumpy greens, I found that you really got to get the ball on top of the grass and roll it. This is something I learned from watching Bobby Locke, so I tend to play a closed stance, poppy little stroke that gets the ball up on the green, on the grass, rolls very smoothly, and then it tends to make a few more putts in the winter than if I just play my gamer putter, which is this Bettanardi here. Again, it's the Studio Stock, we call it 303 stainless steel, and it is milled, so it's very soft. This putter is new, it's brand new in the bag this year, but I got a putter fitting and I found that the way I was aiming was incorrect because the width of my putter wasn't correct for the way that I aligned to the target. So when I set up with this putter now, I tend to set up more online. I got a fitting for this, and I've got a new coach that's working with me on it. So we're going to put it into play this year. The stroke feels pretty good. I was rolling it like a demon the last time I played. I just didn't make any putts because I was misreading everything. But that's a whole nother story we'll get into one of these days. But this is the focus this year. This is the tool that I'm going to put the most work into. This and my wedges, because I really want to get back to competition and start scoring again. So we're going to be doing some putting videos this year, and I'm excited, guys. But this is a beautiful putter. It is incredibly soft. And again, it's milled in the U.S., so we got to support our workers here in the U.S. All right, so that's my what's in the bag. Thanks for watching. I will be getting a new bag this year, so we're not going to talk about the actual old Maxfly bag, but until then, thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.